So I'm Matti. As Vonne said, I am a lawyer by training, but before I was a lawyer, my undergraduate degree was in applied physics, and I worked in high energy physics and semiconductors. So I've worked in technology law for the last almost 30 years. It's just strange because I'm only 25. And I put together this course initially for my parents and some groups they were in after rebuilding my mom's computer about 5 times because she kept falling for these email scams and they would take over her computer. And honestly, it has very little to do with age and sometimes just due to intimidation with the technology factor, a lot of jargon that gets thrown around. And being just able to understand it enough to work with what's there, because it can be very intimidating. People in technology, people in cybersecurity especially, they're very protective of their group and they like to speak in their little code language to make you think they're smarter than you are. They're not. But it's self-protective. And so I'm here to kind of just fill you in on the secrets, teach you some of the language, and talk about some of the ways that you can protect yourself online, especially with advances in technology and what they're doing for ways to scam you. So, simple agenda. We're going to talk about a little bit about the vocabulary and terminology of cybersecurity, how to spot threats. They're getting better and better at not looking threatening. They look very friendly. They want to help you out. And then how to protect yourself and your family. We'll talk a lot about, too, just things you can do within your family and your friends groups to help them protect themselves. And then we'll talk a little bit about cyber media literacy. Especially with AI, it's really hard to tell truth from fiction these days, especially online. So we've got some tips and tricks for figuring out what's true, what's part true, what's downright false, and then based on what you learn in spotting threats, you can figure out what's false and dangerous versus false and not dangerous. If you have questions, feel free to interrupt. If there's too many questions, I might try to keep us moving just to make sure that we can get through the whole thing, and I'll stick around for a little bit afterwards to answer more questions. All right, we're just going to start off with a few factoids, and I will tell you that scams are a huge financial problem in the United States. $159 billion estimated loss to scams. It says last year, it was 2024. We're not so far into 2026 that I have new numbers. And that's just what's reported. A lot of people who fall victim to scams don't want to report it because they think that they have failed mentally or they've failed psychologically because they fell for this scam. So they don't report it. They don't want to admit that they were a victim of somebody else's malintent. So this number is expected to be very underreported. Lots of Americans, though, 3/4 of Americans are worried about their safety and their online safety. And we're going to talk about the difference between cybersecurity and cyber safety as well a bit, so to understand those different terms. And over 90% of Americans admit they've received a scam, been attempted to been scammed. I would guess that number is higher because I would say probably another 7% didn't realize they were being scammed. So there is that. Now, the good news for folks of a certain age, Gen Z is actually more likely to fall for being scammed than older Americans. Perhaps it's because we're just a smidge more cynical. Perhaps it's because we're just older. We've been through more things. We've seen it evolve. We haven't been only online like a lot of the younger generations where all information comes through the internet, so should be trustworthy. The difference, of course, is after a certain age, you have a lot more assets. So when Gen Z gets scammed, the scammers don't get that much. When older generations get scammed, there's a lot to be taken. So the impact on your life, especially when you consider your ability to earn that back and to recover from it versus what you've lost, the impact is much, much higher once you get older. So we want to make sure that we check on this and see, like, how can we make sure we're doing the right things? Let's put some defenses up, what we call mitigate the risk that we're facing, and figure out how do we deal with these vulnerable moments. And the most vulnerable moments are paying bills, online medical consultations, and online shopping. Shopping scams are huge. I'm sure at least a few of you over the Christmas holidays got a text that said, we tried to deliver your package. No, you didn't. Investment scams are also huge. That, Bitcoin investment scams are really big right now. But any type of thing that is a promised investment, multi-level marketing, which was a scam before it was online, and then false invoice and debts. Even I, on a daily basis, probably get 4 emails that go into my junk mail folder that says, here's your invoice. Your invoice will be paid automatically. I'm like, I didn't buy any of this stuff, and I know I'm not getting charged for it. So that's where we're going. So first we're going to talk about a little vocabulary then, because I've used a bunch of words in here that I've already used them and I haven't explained them. I'm going to walk around so I can read them a little bit. Make sure, can you read that? That's a better question. So here's some basic terminology for cybersecurity. The first thing we talk about is a vulnerability. And a vulnerability is any type of inherent weakness in a system. It could be a vulnerability in computer code. That's the world I play in. It could be a vulnerability in personal security, that your door lock is broken and your door doesn't actually lock. Somebody once told me that there's a vulnerability in cars. Anybody here have a car when you lock, you click the door, the locks, and the mirrors go and turned in? Well, now if somebody sees your parked car and the mirrors aren't turned in, they know it's unlocked. That could be a vulnerability in the physical security of your car. A compromise or compromised means something that has become subject to a known vulnerability. So a car that automatically flips its mirrors in when it's locked has been compromised when it's visible as having its mirrors out. A threat then is any action that can take advantage of a vulnerability. A threat actor is the person who's doing the threatening activity. An exploit is when, that's a term almost specific to computer cybersecurity. That's when somebody's created a computer program to act as a threat. So it exploits the vulnerability on a systematic level. And we see some of that. Someone this morning, someone just showed me an article in the New York Times about the Scam Factory. And it's like a call center, and they've created a systematic way of scamming people through a call center that calls you and tries to convince you to give them your money. So that's an exploit. And when we talk about cybersecurity and information security, we talk about the CIA, not the one in DC, but confidentiality, integrity, and availability. And that is the confidentiality of your information, the integrity of your information, is the information accurate and precise, and the availability, can you get to that information? So those are the 3 aspects of security that form up cybersecurity. And then cybersecurity is maintaining the CIA of information or information systems and networks. The IT stuff is cybersecurity. And then we talk about controls. Controls are any safeguard you put in place, countermeasure, mitigation, that is designed to protect the CIA of your information or information systems against vulnerabilities, threats, and compromises. So that is what makes up kind of the jargon of cybersecurity, and we're going to talk about that a little more. And then we have cyber safety. And cyber safety is about protecting individuals from harm while online. It's not about your information, your confidentiality, integrity, or availability. It's about not getting hurt, physically, emotionally, mentally, any of that. And cyber safety is where we start talking about things like online bullying. Like, that's not a safety of your information, that's a safety of your person issue. So just to disambiguate a little bit between those. Oh wait, I have a clicker. So we're going to apply the vocabulary. Anybody recognize this? This is a lovely little analogy because the story of the three little pigs is known worldwide. And so we have the three little pigs and the big bad wolf in the corner. And the three little pigs are us, basically. And their huts are the various spaces that they live in online. So each one of these huts has a vulnerability. What threat is the straw hut subject to? Mm-hmm. And what threat is the what is that? The wood house. Fire. Wind too, because the big bad wolf blows it down. What threat is the brick house? Accessibility. How's the big bad wolf try to get into the brick house? The chimney. He tries to go down the chimney. But the piggies, by the time they get to that brick house, they've put in place a mitigation control. What is it? The fire. Right, and that house is not subject to the vulnerability or the threat of fire because it's brick. My microphone is falling here, sorry. But he is subject to, the fire then can act as a mitigation because it doesn't hurt the house. The threat actor is obviously our wolf. And the threat he has is his huffing and puffing through whatever vulnerable structure or his ability to climb through an unsecure access point, the chimney. And we've got various controls. We have window locks, they've got doors, but those controls aren't sufficient in the first two houses. So if we apply that idea to online, in the online world, we have two areas of cybersecurity that we think about. We think of the security of the online world and our security in the online world. The security of the online world is managed by the sites providers, the Amazon.com, the Google.com, the companies that run the internet provide the security of the online world. And they're the ones who are building the various features and functionalities of these various online huts. They're the ones who determine, can you use a strong password? Anybody ever try to set up an online account and they only let you have a password of 8 characters? How quickly do you think you can break a password of 8 characters? Milliseconds. Mm-hmm. Matter of fact, up to 12 characters now can be broken under a minute. So if you get to a site and they limit your passwords to less than 12 characters, especially if they don't also allow special characters and numbers, they haven't created security of their hut. They've given you a straw hut. Same thing with multi-factor authentication. Has anybody heard of multi-factor authentication or MFA? Lots of nods, great. What is it? Yes, but more than one factor, but the factors are something you know, your password, something you have, your phone, or something you are, your Face ID, your fingerprint, your retinal scan. So those are your 3 types of factors that you can combine in multi-factor. Something you know, something you have, something you are. And if a site doesn't offer that, they've failed to secure their hut. They've given you a stick hut instead of a brick one. Now then you have the security in the online world. Those are the things we do when we visit these huts. The site gives you the ability to enter in a strong password using multi-factor authentication, and instead you issue a password of password 123 and you don't turn on MFA.
So here's a fast question. Are you saying that you need to have a 3-step multi-factor?
No, those are just the three factors, and if you choose more than one, you've got multi-factor.
Okay.
So, and the third one is, are you required to disclose more personal information than necessary? I still want to know why the Brussels train system needed my gender and birthday to give me a train ticket. And that's Europe. They think they're privacy aware. So it's those are what the companies offer, though. And then there's what you do with it. So do you actually set a strong password? Do you turn on multi-factor authentication? Do you claim your assets? One of the best things you can do to protect yourself that we'll talk about, I know some people are like, I'm not doing anything online, it's too risky. Well, at least go and claim what's yours online so that somebody else doesn't do it for you. If you don't want to manage Social Security, Medicare, your bank accounts through online offerings, don't, but go set up your account so that nobody else can do it in your name. That's called defensive cybersecurity. You want to go on the defense as much as the offense, because if you own that account and you've set it up with a multi-factor authentication and your own strong password, at least you know nobody else can pretend to be you and do it. So that's a big step you can take. Mm-hmm.
So with bank accounts too, you should do that?
Yes, if you have an account with the bank, go make sure you set it up, and you can set it up, give it a nice strong password, and we'll talk about passwords, and turn on multi-factor authentication, and then you don't have to ever use it again, but nobody else can claim it for you. So that's huge with Social Security, by the way, because Social Security theft is a huge fraud. And then I'm guessing that most of you don't actively use your credit reports very often. Nobody's out there trying to get a new mortgage next week or applying for a new credit card or a new car loan. Go freeze your credit reports. Yeah, I actually heard on NPR last week they were advising, like, not only everybody's credit reports should be frozen. My theory is somebody in Congress should pass a law that frozen should be the default and you have to turn it on to get credit. I don't know if I'll make it, but call your congressman. Congressperson, sorry, Janelle. So freeze your credit, and if you need it, go unfreeze it. I recently did that. I keep mine frozen, but I recently applied for a new business credit card because my old one was really hard to work with. And I just went online in each one, and now they have an option where I can unfreeze it for a period of time. So I just unfroze it for a week, filled out the application. I didn't even have to go back to refreeze it. It just let it out for a week. So, and I have links at the end of this to get you to the right places to do this, and we can send out the presentation so you know where to go to do that. But NPR was saying, and this is somewhere you can help your family. You have a new child. You have a new grandbaby, great grandbaby maybe if you're lucky enough. That baby is going to get a Social Security number. As soon as they have a Social Security number, they have the ability to start getting a credit report. Go freeze it so that nobody can pretend to be that child. So go freeze the credit as soon as you have a Social Security number. And then code words and passphrases. Is anybody here? There's one scam that was going around for a while. You get a phone call. Grandma, I'm in trouble. I'm on spring break. I got pulled over. Don't call mom and dad. I just need bail money. That one had happened to me. I don't have kids. So really hard to pull that scam on me. But it happened to my grandmother when she was alive. And first of all, the scammer obviously didn't know my grandma because she's like, "You're where? Like hell I'm not calling your parents." No. But one of the things we had though was we have, it's just a family passcode, passphrase, something about your family that no one really knows. And that way if somebody calls claiming to be a relative in distress, you're like, I want to help. Just tell me what the passphrase is. Tell me what the passcode is. And this, because you don't have to type it, can be anything. We joked that our passphrase, my grandma, rest her soul, lived to be 101, but always wanted to feed us. And we laughed for decades because once when my cousin Timothy, when he was about I guess 17 years old. He just had his driver's license. And he'd gone to visit grandma. And she was worried he needed a snack to go home with. So she gave him a rotisserie chicken and a can of Slim Fast. Because the 80s. And so like, we decided our family passphrase had to be a rotisserie chicken and a can of Slim Fast. Because no one was gonna guess that. So think of something unique about your family that could act as a passcode or a passphrase, and if somebody really is in trouble and needs your help, you know it, you can get to it, but you're not going to be scammed. So now you think about it, like think of where your huts are. What are your most common huts? Email, I'm on email all the time. Text messages, they're always coming through. Social media, I am on social media. I know a lot of people who just want to avoid it altogether, but I've moved so many times, lived in so many places. I have friends around the world. I want to keep in touch. I'm on social media. E-commerce, I buy a lot of stuff online. The Amazon driver and the Chewy driver both know me well, and the dog. So I buy stuff online, I bank online, I do my credit cards online, I do my accounting with QuickBooks online. Like, I'm there, so I have to take advantage of this. So where am I vulnerable? I'm vulnerable for phishing emails. I was the in-house counsel for NetApp, and we did phishing tests. They send you these test emails to see if you fall for it, and if you fall for it, you get training. I fell for one my last week of work because it looked like a DocuSign to sign, and I thought they were sending me separation paperwork to sign. So it happens to all of us. Compromised emails too. If a friend of yours or a family member has their email compromised, that means that it's fallen victim to somebody, and they've so it looks like an email from them, but they're not actually running their own email. So anybody's potential to fall victim to somebody else's compromised email looks like their email. Unsolicited texts, that's called smishing. It's like phishing, but with an SMS message. We'll talk about a lot of what those look like, but I'm sure everybody here has received a text with some link to it, or
The Carpet Man.
The Carpet Man, excellent. Yeah, those are potential vulnerabilities. They are threats. Telephone support, customer support fraud. Anybody have Microsoft customer support call them? Microsoft customer support did not call you. My mom fell for the Microsoft customer support scam 3 times, hence rebuilding her computer. My dad, I worked for Microsoft at the time, would talk to him on the phone, and he was so enthralled with the fact that they worked at the same company as his daughter. He wanted to know, were you in Redmond? Where did you work? Did you know her? Well, what group do you work in? She works in Azure. Have you heard of Azure? What's your name? I'll see if she knows you. What department are you in? She's in legal. Click. So the Microsoft support scam, somebody calls you, just toss my name around. Tell them you've got a family member who works in legal, and if nothing else, you keep them on a phone for a little longer. I do have some friends who work in cybersecurity on the technical side. They will actually see how long they can keep these guys on the phone, because they know they're not going to get scammed, and if they can keep them on the phone longer, they won't get to somebody else. So my partner works in cybersecurity, and he'll respond to some of the text messages. He's got a standard response too that's like, this is an unmonitored line for the FBI field office. Please contact this instead. The cybersecurity guys have funny senses of humor. And then we have misinformation and disinformation, and those are 2 different things. Misinformation is errors. Spin that makes you think one thing when it's not. Disinformation is intentionally false information designed to make you act. So keeping an eye out for both of those. Both of them can cause harm. Misinformation is less likely to cause high levels of harm, so we call it lower risk. Disinformation is designed to harm, so it is higher risk. Okay, spotting threats, emails. Oh, you definitely cannot read that. This is a long, this is one, I get these all the time too. I'm a recruiter for this company. We have a job, we've got a job opening. I've been told you'd be perfect, so I'm reaching out. Now, when you're a lawyer with 30 years experience and they're reaching out to get you, a work from home data entry job, it's not that appealing to begin with. But job offers that you receive on text, they are scams. Just end of story. If you have young people in your lives who are struggling in the job market right now, they can be very vulnerable to falling for texts like this, particularly if they've spent their entire life communicating by text.
What do these guys want?
They want your employment information, your social security number, your ID verification. They're going to steal your identity. Alternately, they are actually going to make you think you have a job and you're going to work for them, and then they're always going to have a reason not to pay you. So it's basically slave labor. So two types of things where you have to pay for an onboarding package. Think of some of the old ones where you get a job and you have to buy your own uniform and buy your PPE and things like that. Imagine putting all of that money in and then you show up and they're like, no, you don't really work here. It's that kind of scam. And usually if you're buying stuff to support your job, you're buying it from them. So they're just raking money out of you.
So the scams are basically for money or for
identity.
ID?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Your money and your identity so they can further take your money. It's all about money. That's really what it comes down to. I don't think anybody's doing this so that they can actually be like, no, I really want to do your job. So.
They should just call me.
Right? Exactly. You're working online, you're on a website, and all of a sudden, computer scam alert. We've seen suspicious activity on your computer. Click here. Just shut that thing down as quick as possible. If you have to hold the power button and hard stop it, just do it. Don't click that. That's not how you're alerted to computer risks. Your computer risks are going to be in your settings files, and you're going to just look for updates. I tell everybody, whether you're on a Mac or a PC, just turn auto updates on. And when it's your computer needs to reboot, shutting down in 20 minutes, just walk away and let it do it. 20 minutes is going to save you so much time later if you don't do it. 95% of those updates are security patches to address those software vulnerabilities, code vulnerabilities, so that bad actors can't sneak in without having you click on something. So auto updates on your phone, auto updates on your PC, auto updates on your computer. If you don't know how to do this, come chat with me. I'll show you how to do it real quick. Let's see, what's this text message? Oh, the USPS package arrived at the warehouse and cannot be delivered. Your package has arrived, but we can't deliver it. It doesn't work as well in the United States, mainly because our post office is, for the most part, very reliable. And two, we do not have a system where you have to pay your duties at the post office. You don't pay for excess postage at a post office. They either don't deliver it or they return it to the sender. They don't call you and be like, hey, you need to pay the rest of the postage. The rest of the world doesn't work like that. I lived in Norway for a year. Posta Norge can't find their ass with two hands. They would tell me my address didn't exist. And I was like, you guys have delivered mail before here, so I know you can find it. But it's not uncommon for them to say, oh, this package came from outside the country, especially in Europe. Things cross country borders much quicker. And you owe a duty, and you pay those duties at the post office. Even if you are shipping to friends or family, if you're running a company that's shipping, you pay the duties through the post office. So expecting to pay the post office is much more common in the rest of the world. And the people running these scams don't know it's different in the US. So most people pick up that your package can't be delivered stuff. But if your package can't be delivered, they're telling you from Amazon's telling you we can't deliver your package. Chewy's telling you we can't deliver your package. I'm sure there are other mail order, mail order pharmacy. Express Scripts is telling me they can't deliver my package. It's not a text from DHL or the post office. Things that look like Bank of America or Chase, but things that look like they're from your bank. If you get an email from your bank saying that to click on a link, don't. It may be legitimate. Well, you don't even have to call them. Open a new browser window, go to your bookmarked page, Google the bank name, click on the right link. Google and Microsoft Bing, the search engines, they do a lot to make sure that those links are up to date and the right one is at the top, that not scam links aren't at the top. Don't click on the link, just start in a fresh browser window. You don't have to call the bank and sit on hold for 4 hours. You can go to the website you know, or find the right one using search. And then log in because you've claimed your bank account, and check for notifications in there. If you don't see a pop-up notification when you log in, look for the little bell icon and click the bell. If the bell doesn't bring up any notes, you do not have anything wrong with your account. Hi, how's it going? I'm Caroline. Hi. My favorite, the Sunday and Monday morning ones. We met at the party last week and it was so great to see you. I'd love to see you again. And I'm like, I doubt it. You do not know what you've got on the other end of this phone. These are, they have a terrible name. I feel bad even saying it. They're called pig butchering scams. They are usually romance scams. They are trying to find lonely people who they can keep on the phone, and then, the top ones. I'm in the military stationed abroad. They'll quickly find out if you're male or female. For women, it's military stationed abroad or in prison. And looking for friends. I regret everything I've done, very contrite, but nobody loves me anymore, please feel sorry for me. And for men, they're Southeast Asian or Russian women who will have gorgeous photographs, who are just looking for a man to take care of them. They're seeing how emotionally attached you will get and how much money you will start sending them. They are some person in one of these call center scam factories in Myanmar or Cambodia who may or may not be, quite frankly, kidnapped slaves doing the work, but they are not real people. And these are, by the way, these are some of the most harmful ones in terms of monetary risks. People do get attached, especially if you don't have a great friends and family support group. You're emotionally vulnerable, you want somebody to connect with. They are very good at connecting with you and convincing you that you are their best friend and they love you, and they just need a little bit of help because they need some money to get back to the U.S. Usually it's to get back to the U.S. or to get back to where you are from, where they're imprisoned, where they're on duty, where they live now, etc.
So you're going to tell us how to avoid, like the one at Hello. I've been getting these. Hi, haven't seen you.
Delete and report.
Okay.
And the one thing that this one particularly relies on is they want you to feel the urgency of getting that text message come through. The phone beeps or buzzes, you pick it up and you look at it. Apple phone at least has a way that if the person is not in your contacts list, it will not alert you. The text will still be there when you go to look for it, but there's no urgency to it. So I recommend anybody with that capability turn it on. If somebody's not in your contact list, you get to see their text message when you get to it. It's not urgent. Google phones unfortunately don't have that feature yet, so it's only an iPhone feature. But otherwise, then you have to just rely on like that gut feel. Don't fall for it. Some of the things, so the generic hello, on Facebook and on social media, especially if you're in some of the groups, like there's a Bend, Oregon group. Great group, by the way, if you need a local resource for something. Bend Foodies, great group if you want to know where to find that exact taco you want. You get a lot of posts to groups like that. They're like, oh, I'm new in the area. And it's usually a young, gorgeous woman, might be an AI-generated photo, and they're new and they're just looking to make friends.
Can I give you this?
Oh yeah, am I fading?
Sorry.
Technical
It's the
difficulties.
It's the new fancy equipment.
Test. All right, there we go. I got two things in my hands. So be careful in some of those Facebook groups and social media posts where they're, people just reaching out to make friends. That's very similar to the text scam that chances are they're not even in the area. They're going to see how long they can string you along before they say, oh yeah, no, I had to go back to visit. I had to go back for my parents or a family member. Now I can't get back to Bend. I need some money. So look out for those. Mortgage relief is generally a fraud too if they're reaching out to you. Not the general ads, like you see an ad in the circular magazine that comes along for refinancing, not real banks. But if you're getting text or emails about mortgage relief, chances are it's fraud. Good way, especially the reverse mortgages, it's a good way to lose title to your house, so be very careful with those. And then major retailers, Amazon, Walmart, Costco, they do not telephone you to confirm your order. So yeah. Top lies from romance scammers. I or someone close to me is sick, hurt, or in jail. I can teach you how to invest once you trust them. I'm in the military far away. I need help with a delivery. Can you receive this for me? Oh, this is a new scam that came up more last year. Pardon? No, they want to ship you a computer because they need a local access point, and they just want you to plug this computer in and turn it on. It's not what you think it is. It's usually a bunch of North Koreans who have secured remote employment with US companies, and they need the company to ship a work laptop to a US address that they're using as their home address so they can pretend to be a US employee and get a US job. Because one, US companies don't generally hire remote workers from outside the United States for various tax reasons, and they absolutely cannot hire North Korean national. And that money is all being funneled into the North Korean government. So, but yeah, so if somebody calls you and asks you to receive a laptop and just plug it in for them, all they want is a little bit of electricity, no. The recent raid at the end of last year, actually, and they arrested, I think, 7 people in Arizona who were all just running laptops for these people because they were basically aiding the North Korean government in violation of sanctions. All right, so some of the things you can do to protect yourself with and without a technology. We've got old advice, and this is still wandering around. Check for spelling and grammar errors, because these crazy criminals in North Korea and Russia speak bad English. They got AI now. They speak English just fine. Verify embedded text. They want you to recognize difference in fonts. Nobody does that. Use Whois lookup to verify domains. Anybody besides me know what that is? That's what I thought. Cross-reference email headers to IP addresses. Again, I don't even know how to do that. You have to go call Simon and be like, what does this mean again? Don't use public Wi-Fi. That's just stupid. That's old advice, and it's actually not going to do anything to protect you. New advice, assume anything with urgent, yeah.
The bottom one, though.
Have and keep updated antivirus software. Most of that comes on your computer now, and if you turn on automatic updates, it will be done. You don't have to buy separate antivirus anymore. Not for general consumer grade photo.
That's one of the scams I got.
Yeah. Oh, yes, that, Norton is a legitimate company. Their sales patterns are what I would consider dark patterns. I think they're trying to trick you into buying something you don't need. Antivirus does have certain benefits if you are at specific risk, if you're running certain types of businesses, things like that. It can look for different things. Most consumer computers now do not need separate antivirus other than what's provided by Apple or Microsoft. If you're building your own Ubuntu Linux box at home, you probably need antivirus. But if you're building your own Ubuntu Linux box at home, you know that.
So under old advice, I was told at one time, back when, if you receive a call from someone who's asking a question, don't answer yes, because they're recording the yes, and they'll apply that to something else. So when they call me, they say, oh, is this Daryl? And I say, this is Daryl.
That might be a little too paranoid even for me. Just especially if you have multi-factor authentication in various areas. And again, the one area where that is a risk right now is with those voice scams where they call you, grandma, grandpa, I'm in trouble, I need your help. They've got a voice recording, they can feed it into AI. It sounds like you, it sounds like somebody you trust, but it doesn't know the passphrase. So even if AI can perfectly imitate you, it doesn't know the passphrase. So yeah, but yeah, and if somebody calls, is this Matti? I'm like, who's calling? That's my answer. Mm-hmm.
Well, like when I pay my Visa bill on the phone.
Yeah.
And they want to hear me say yes.
Right, but you've called them at that point in time. Yeah, and let's face it, not many people are defrauded because somebody wants to pay their Visa bill for them. Yeah, that's I had one bank. One of the reasons I left Bank of America for my business card is they made it very difficult for me to pay my bill. Like it took me like 3 weeks of confirming bank account transactions for them to allow me to pay my bill. And I'm like, this is a one-way transaction of me paying it off. This is not fraud. But what it did do is get me past the point of time where I got charged interest and fees for not making the payment on time. And that was a good way to peeve me off. Like I run a small business. I don't care if it's $25, it's $25. So new advice though, assume urgency is a scam. If it's super, if somebody's calling you and it has to be done right away, it's a scam. Just assume it. Block unknown numbers if you can. Another good, the newer Apple phones have this great feature. They'll screen your calls for you. I don't know if anybody's seen that. I think it's the most brilliant thing ever. If it's an unknown number, Apple asks them to say, who is this and what's your purpose? And it shows up as a text, it shows up as the phone is ringing. I can see, this is Dr. Bird from your healthcare provider's office. I'm like, oh, I gotta answer that. This is so-and-so from Salesforce. I do not want to talk to you, you're just telling me something. Great feature, use it if you can. I think it's based on what version of iOS you're running. Use a password manager. Doesn't have to be an electronic password manager. I like 1Password and what's the other one? LastPass? Yeah, 1Password, LastPass. There's a few major ones. I'm a big fan of 1Password. It's probably the one that's gone the longest time without any type of compromise. But even if it's on paper, my parents have a password manager. It is a notebook. But it's inside their house, in my dad's desk. So for somebody to gain access to it, they have to get in the house, know what's in the desk, and get in the desk. And then they have to read my dad's handwriting. So even if it's on paper, keep a password list. Mm-hmm.
Why am I paranoid about password managers getting, compromised? There, they've got everything.
They don't though. That's the thing, is the way password managers are organized is a little bit like passkeys, which I'm going to explain here in a second. And the passwords themselves only sit on the device you have. They never actually get stored with the password manager service provider. What the password management service provider gets is a public key that attaches to the private key that you have. So even if they get compromised, they don't have access to any of your passwords, except possibly the master password that they have stored. Right, but if they have the master password, they can only use that on your device where everything's stored locally to unlock anything. So even with that master password, they wouldn't be able to access any of your other passwords. And that goes to, it's old advice and new advice, never reuse passwords.
Never do what?
Reuse passwords. One password for every site. That's why the electronic password managers can be very helpful, because they generate those strong passwords for you, and then you don't have to remember them. I joke that I only know one password, and that's the password to my password manager. But I think I have somewhere close to 300 passwords in that manager, and they're all stored behind that lock. But use it, because never use the same password twice, because what happens is if any one of those companies with that password gets compromised, there's, again, these exploits, these automatic exploits that criminals use, and they'll get a set of passwords and then they'll just run it against everything. And if you've reused that password, then you've lost control of more than one site. You get a notice from Target that your password's been compromised. And you're like, great, I'll change my password on target.com. But then if you're using that same password everywhere else, you have to go figure out everywhere else you're using it and change it, because you have to consider that password compromised, not the site. Mm-hmm.
Do I need to change my one password now?
No. As long as it's strong, it should be long, or use what's called a passphrase. To be or not to be, Hamlet's act 3, 4, whatever. So it should be more than probably 15 characters with some numbers and special characters included. But write a short sentence that means something to you.
But you never have to change that.
You don't really have to change that. No, it would be very, very rare. I haven't changed mine in years, but it's like 22 characters, letters, numbers, symbols. And then the one person outside of my spouse that knows that password, and I do share it with one person, is my estate planning lawyer. If anything happens to me, all of my accounts can now be managed because my estate planner and then the executor for my estate will know my password. And it's a lot easier to deal with stuff afterwards. And if you don't trust your lawyer with your master password, get a new lawyer. If you do a lot of mail order, there are companies, tracking apps like Parcel or Aftership, and they consolidate all of your tracking numbers and track the packages. That way you never have to worry about a text. You can go to a single source of truth to figure out where your packages really are.
I have a question.
Mm-hmm.
I've been getting Google. Google will send me a message about my Amazon package. It should be delivered today, and I don't know if those are.
I don't know. I don't know. Like Google.
I can't hear her question.
Oh, she said she gets notices from Google that emails from Google saying her package will be delivered. There are some bigger name brands like Google and Amazon and like the USPS has a daily email of what's coming in your mail that you can get. And especially Google, if you use your Gmail or Google email, and
That's where it comes. It comes.
yeah, and like they have tracking things that capture it from your email receipts, so it's legit. But I can't tell you without looking at it whether or not it's legit. I wouldn't click on anything in it.
I don't.
For information, if you're like, oh, that's fascinating, I'm expecting a package, it's good to know it'll be here today. No harm, no foul. That's not a threat. That's just information. Most likely not misinformation. But if it is, there's no harm related to it. But don't click on any links in it. And then I've already talked about freeze your credit report, claim your online, Social Security and IRS. You have the ability to set up an IRS online account. Do it. Because tax return theft is also a big fraud scheme as we enter tax season. Don't take financial advice or send money or gift cards to someone you did not contact. If you didn't think, hey, I really want to send money to this person, a gift card, or I really want their advice on what to invest in. If that didn't originate in your own mind, don't do it.
Excuse me.
Mm-hmm.
So my son ran into a scam on gift cards.
Gift card scam.
Are you going to cover that later?
There are a ton of gift card scams that are out there. A lot of times it's somebody texting you claiming to be an executive from your company and they want you to go buy some gift cards for something.
No, this is actually buying the gift card. Our son is a contractor in Portland.
Okay.
And he likes to buy gift cards to Home Depot.
Oh, yeah.
They have 4 times.
Sure, yeah, where you get.
So he bought a $500 gift card, went directly to Home Depot, and found that there was no money on that card.
Yeah, those can be, depending on how he bought it. He obviously didn't buy it at Home Depot.
No, he bought it at Fred Meyer.
Yeah, that's less of a scam than it is theft, quite frankly. Yeah, that's just outright old-fashioned theft where I would never buy a gift card at a grocery store or like not at an original source. Because
somehow they've been able to separate, they steal the card, take it home, separate the thing, get to the pin.
Yeah.
And then take it back to the store and put it back on the shelf.
Yeah, that's exactly. Yeah, but that's good old-fashioned theft. That's less of a scam. Yeah.
But it worked.
It did work. It did work.
But he got a complimentary from Fred Meyer replacing that.
Right, because honestly, it's probably 2/3 to more often, it's an employee of the store doing it. That's how they get access to it. Yeah.
So, Social Security and IRS accounts online. How trusting are you of our Social Security accounts online now?
I don't trust anybody in the government right now.
Right.
That said, they still run the sites. And I admit that I had my Social Security and IRS accounts set up before the current administration. And my distrust is more in the lines of compliance with the U.S. Privacy Act and the setting up of systems of records as required by regulatory law for how they share that information. And I can't do jack squat about that. And they have my information regardless of whether or not I claim it as my own. So yeah, the government has my information no matter what.
That's your claim. Those are the ones you were talking about.
Yeah.
That if you don't regularly go
Right.
turn it off.
Yeah,
Or
even
set it up so
at least set it up so nobody else can. The goal here is to make sure that nobody else claims to be you to get your Social Security or tax refund. It's not about registering additional information. The government already has your information. This is about making sure nobody else claims to be you with the government.
What is the reverse image?
Reverse image search. So this is a great one if you get kind of those romance scams or new to area scams. You can take a snapshot of someone, like somebody's picture, and you can put it into image.google.com. You can upload the image, and Google will tell you where that image has been used. So if you find a picture of someone that is claiming to be your new best friend in Vladivostok, and she just needs a little bit of money to get over to the United States, and she'd love to see you, put that image in Google, and it'll tell you if that is linked to 157 different people. That says it's a fake account. Google's also getting fairly decent at determining whether or not those pictures were AI generated. Not great, like if you're using commercial AI generation software that some of the major ad companies use to create videos and things like that, it probably won't catch those. But if you're just using Gemini or, I'm forgetting what some of the new video and image ones are. If you're just doing it on consumer ones, Google's getting pretty good at picking them up. MFA and passkeys. We talked about MFA. There's a new form of password going around. I don't know if anybody's seen it yet. They ask you, would you like to create a passkey? Yes, do you guys know what that is? Some people are saying yeah. So it's like a password, but it's multi-factor authentication without you realizing it's multi-factor authentication. So what the passkey does is it basically, instead of a lock like your password is with one key, your password, it's now locked with 2 locks, and you need 2 keys to open it. But these keys are automatically generated pieces of software code that are put on your device, whether that's your laptop or your mobile phone, your smartphone. And then you might further need a 3rd factor. So now we've gone from 2 factors to 3 factors, like your Face ID or your phone password or computer password, all to unlock one website. So passkeys are very, very secure. And if you have Face ID turned on your cell phone or your laptop, you can activate all of your passwords just by looking at the camera. So passkeys are even more secure than passwords, and sometimes a lot easier to use. So if you have the ability to set up a passkey, don't be afraid to do it. And if you have Apple makes it really, really easy. If you have an iPhone or a Macintosh computer, their passkeys are stored locally in the Apple Password Manager. Apple Password Manager is another one that I would trust. It comes native in the iOS environment. I use 1Password because I do all of my professional work on a PC, a Windows PC, instead of on a Mac. But the Apple Password Manager is set up at least as secure as 1Password or LastPass.
That's getting into your Apple account, is that what you mean?
No, it's a separate application on your phone or your computer. So you have your master password to get into your phone or your computer, but the Apple Password Manager is a separate app.
But you're not talking about using that for getting on Amazon or all your other shop?
You actually can.
Okay.
It just stores your password like any other password manager. It's just run by Apple instead of a third party.
If you have facial ID and you die, can your executor?
Yeah, because usually facial ID is turned on after you've set a password, so you don't have to have Face ID if you have the password.
Okay.
Don't worry, the death masks are not required anymore. Uh-huh.
What does that mean, physical and logical?
Physical and logical. Logical means it's a piece of code or a very long number that's stored on your device digitally. You won't see it necessarily, but it's usually like a 256-bit. So, what is that like? It's like 36 character long digitally rendered password or something. It's very long. It's very complex, but it's stored as a piece of code on your computer. You don't have to know it.
So if you use this passkey, do you have to save anything yourself, like in a password manager?
You have to. You don't. Now, some password managers have passkey management as well. 1Password does, but usually it's stored in a special spot on your computer that you never access because you don't have to worry about it.
It just does it automatically,
Mhm.
so you're not having to store.
Right. Right. That's one of the reasons it becomes so useful, is because it's so easy to use and it's several layers of multi-factor deep.
So if you want to get into that account with a passkey and you don't have that specific device with you, can you use?
You can usually
somebody-
default to, you can't use somebody else's device, but you can default back to your password and your multi-factor. So, like my accounting software, QuickBooks, I have passkey enabled on that. And if I wanted to get into it from, say, I was at visiting my parents and I wanted to log on from my dad's computer, what I would do instead is use my password, and then I have multi-factor turned on, so it would send me a text, because maybe I've got my little phone, my little computer, my tiny computer I've got with me, And so I can look up my password there on my password manager on my phone, and then it gets the text, so I have everything I need there. Now, if you have nothing with you and you can't remember your password either, you're a little stuck. But you can usually override the passkey with password plus multi-factor.
So if you have both on your account the passkey and the password, is your account any more secure because you still have the password?
It should be, yes, because usually I haven't come across a site yet that will let you turn on a passkey without multi-factor already enabled. So what happens is it just becomes a default. So you still have the password, and if that password gets compromised, whoever's trying to log in is going to be asked for the passkey first, and if they don't have it, they're going to ask for their other form of multi-factor authentication, whether it's an authenticator app or a text message or an email, and then they'd have to have access to that as well. So, all right, I do want to move on a little bit, and we'll email out these slides for you so you have these resources. Scam Advisors keeps track of current scams, the reverse image search at Google, Equifax, Experian, and TransUnion, as well as Claim Your SSA. We got links to all of those, and we'll send those out to you as well. So I know I've forwarded the slides, so anybody who wants the slides, or stop me afterwards and give me your email address, I'll send them to you. Okay, quick on media literacy, because a lot of these cybersecurity scams like the scams and scam proofing yourself includes scam proofing yourself from well spread lies, quite frankly. And a lot of these happen through media, not through text messages or others. So scams happen in all sorts of ways. And we talked about, misinformation and disinformation. Misinformation, I always say, is true but misleading. It's spin. Not always harmful, but usually not completely true. Disinformation is intentionally created to be shared to mislead people. And then malinformation, not used a lot. Usually disinformation and malinformation are considered the same thing. That's information, could be based on truth, could be disinformation, could be fabricated or lies, but it's shared with the intent to attack some idea, person, group, organization. It's designed to cause harm. And most of this comes down to an emotional response and manipulation. And manipulation happens in all forms of our life, whether it's scams on text or email, or in the media by advertisers. All advertisers are attempting to manipulate you to buy their product. And the stronger the gut reaction is to something, the more likely it is to basically be harmful, or it's being used to manipulate. If it makes you feel strongly in any direction, whether it's strongly agree or strongly disagree, it's likely to be wanting you to take some action or to cause some harm. It's being used to manipulate you. Some of these are simple. It's the listicles. Top 10 things for me. The secret trick that everyone wants to know. Just click me. You'll never believe what so-and-so did. You'll never believe what she wore to the Golden Globes. The top 10 most revealing dresses at the Golden Globes. I don't know why I get all this Golden Globes fashion news right now, but I'm not exactly fashion forward here. But I am seeing a lot of that right now, probably because it's, a good way to click for ad. They're looking for ad dollars. Nobody's trying to, create chaos by arguing over whether the dress is green or blue, or green or black, I forget, gold or black. But they want clicks on their ad links. Little dense, but some ways to spot fake news. One, take a moment, check your gut, and ask some critical questions. Critical thinking is really necessary right now with the news cycles. If you are immediately angry, sad, upset, or even gleeful or happy or thrilled to read a headline, check some stuff. The more extreme your emotion is, the more likely it is being used to manipulate, and the more likely it is to include misinformation or disinformation. Is it, basically, is it the article so outrageous that you can't believe it's true? Or is the story so outrageous you have to believe it's true? Strong emotional reactions. Go past the headline. Reporters write articles, editors write headlines. They don't always match. Does the headline match the article? Again, many don't. Even if you don't want to read the whole article, I subscribe to The Atlantic, and they still write long-form media, and a lot of them I cannot get through. But at least read the first paragraph. You'll probably figure out pretty quickly if the headline's accurate or not. Verify the original source. A lot of outlets repackage news. If you can't find the original source, big red flags should be going off. If you find the original source but it says something different, big red flags should be going off. If you can't find any other source reporting on the same thing, it's probably fake. There's, big news stories get reported by a lot of outlets on every side of the political spectrum. If you can only find an article in one place, this is not, the media refused to report it. This didn't happen. Or it certainly didn't happen the way it was reported in that one site. Is there a generic enemy? Good reporting doesn't generalize anything. It doesn't say the left or the right or this group or that group. It's never always and it's never never. Just like any good psychologist, you don't say everything's, he always does that. And I'm sure it's not always. So good reporters, good media doesn't generalize. They report facts. Read the economic news. It's full of just nothing but facts. It's boring as heck, but it's pretty trustworthy because numbers are numbers. You can't do much with the raw numbers. Does the source employ editors and fact checkers? This is a big thing, especially with social media influencers and TikTok news. These people do not have teams of editors and fact checkers. Reuters, the Wall Street Journal, the Washington Post, the New York Times, even the Bend Bulletin has fact checkers and editors. That alone makes them more reliable. I also get a lot of news from overseas sources. In Europe, particularly, libel and defamation laws are much stricter, and the media is not protected the way they are in the United States. So they can't go as far in speculation because they very much do risk being sued. You had a question?
How do we know if the source employs? How do we find that out?
They usually list their editors on their webpage
Okay.
and their fact checkers. They'll be pretty transparent about it.
Okay.
Mm-hmm. And if they're not transparent about it, again, red flag. And then again, is the information consistently reported? Check multi-sources. There's a great source that I like called Ground News. And Ground News it's a news aggregator. It looks at various different sources and it evaluates, and I have a graphic here next, the political tilt of a source. And it gives you reports from both sides of the political spectrum on a single issue. So if you find one issue, you can see how different newspapers and different media sites are reporting on the same issue, and you can actually do your own critical analysis of the facts that are being reported. And they generally only aggregate sources with editors and fact checkers. They're not aggregating TikTok streams. The other thing to look at too is how old is the story? Breaking news, this is huge in cybersecurity too, because we get calls when I was in-house counsel at Microsoft, people would be called something got breached, we're in terrible, they're we need a lawyer, everything's gonna go wrong, the sky is falling. Wait, what have we investigated? What actually do we have? Oh, we have, this blip on the incident monitor that came up. Let's go figure out what actually went wrong. Most of the information had to be corrected just in the first 24 hours, even in corporate America. So any breaking news that's younger than 24 hours, it's probably not correct, and not because of malintent or misinformation, just because you don't have all of the information you need to accurately report on anything right in the middle of something. So, and quite frankly, nobody, the editors know nobody's going to click the link or see the ads if the headline is, "We heard a boom, no one knows what happened." Like, nobody's rushing to the news to be like, "Oh, they don't know what happened either." And the more competitive media gets to get the clicks and to get the ad dollars, the more liberties they take with speculating. So be careful of breaking news. And then also say, remember that falsehoods can still be deeply held beliefs. And this goes to like a lot of our scams. Victims of fraud often don't come forward because they can't report it because they're so certain they weren't lied to. They don't think they were victimized. They don't think they were lied to. They don't think they were manipulated. So they've held the beliefs that the scammer told them. They believe it. They believe it's true, and that they're just waiting for their friend to get the airplane ticket. There's just the travel's been crazy. They sent them the $1,500 for the ticket. They keep telling you that they'll be here, but the flight was canceled and there was a traffic accident. They're going to be here. They're going to be here, and it doesn't get reported. So fake information can still be a very deeply held belief, and that's just the truth of psychology. If you're told your entire life to believe something, you will believe it. So sometimes you have to just realize that people are a victim of it in more ways than one, not just the financial victimization, but the psychological victimization that comes with it. And then statements that have been affirmatively disproven but are still repeated. This is a big thing to keep in mind with current media reporting. If they've been disproven over and over again, yet people keep reporting it, this isn't misinformation, these are lies. They're not untruths. They are not both sides.
The election was stolen.
Or even things like, oh, inflation's down. There's like hard numbers behind that. There are facts that, there are still facts in the world. Nobody would say, "Oh yeah, we're going to go sunbathing today because it's going to be 82 degrees out." That is objectively disprovable. And no matter how many times I tell you it's going to be 82 degrees outside, it's not going to be 82 degrees outside. And I always take media with a little bit of a grain of salt if they keep reporting something as, this statement, which has been proven untrue. I'm like, if it's been proven untrue, stop saying it. So any source that continually repeats things and has to, asterisk them that they've been proven untrue, start distrusting the source on that after a while. Information sources that never admit to errors should generally be suspect. This is the media bias chart. So we have, and this is kept by a company called Advance Media. They are a nonpartisan nonprofit that just keeps track of this stuff. Companies like Ground News that want to give you wide variety of viewpoints on a single event use charts like this. And there's a link. There's a link at the bottom too. And I think when I send out the presentation, this is clickable. But it goes from contains inaccurate and fabricated info all the way up to thorough fact reporting or fact-dense analysis, and bias left and bias right, exactly where you'd expect them on the left and the right. And you can figure out where you get your news. Personally, I try to get my news from a couple of these in the green box at the top. Big fan of the Associated Press and Reuters, and PBS NewsHour. Boring as all get out, but it's generally trustworthy. So you've got some good information here. My partner really likes Bellingcat, which I just became aware of, and that's all the way at the top above Ballotpedia. But you've got some good resources here. It also differentiates out some of like the major networks from specific shows on the network. So a lot of the networks can have reliable reporting, but there's a couple shows on there that are more entertainment than they are news, and you have to keep that in mind when watching them, if you watch them. So the good news, actual like surveys of people, when tested, they run these experiments to see, can people pick out fake news? Yes, they can. They know it's fake. You read it, you know it's false. You know, most people have a gut instinct that is right, that says this is a scam. Sometimes you can fall for it. The scammers are good. The scammers only have to be right a small percentage of the time to make a lot of money. So, you know, there will always be victims. There are psychological methods. It's not a moral failing to fall victim to any of these. But the good news is we're not doomed as a society that they're so good that they're taking advantage of everybody. People can pick them up. And this is a study on YouGov that had various government statements, and they made these misstatements, and they tried to figure out who knew if they were fake or real. And again, older adults perform better than younger people. This is a feature, not a bug. We've been around longer. We've been lied to more, especially if you have children. You get used to, life experience tells you when things are true and when things are false. And the older you get, the better you can trust your gut on it. The downside, of course, is you want to trust people who are helping you. People offer to help me all the time. I offer to help people when they need help. I want to be trusted when I offer help, and I want to trust the people who are offering me help. So depending on how much I need that help is often how much I'll trust somebody, which is a human issue, not a good or bad. It's just, that's how we are as human. We want to help and be helped, and we want to trust the people we are helping, and we want to trust the people who are helping us. So you just got to be a little bit cynical, not completely cynical. And also, for anybody who's dismayed by current political environments, fake news is not limited to politics. If you ever read a Forbes article on Apple News or something about cybersecurity, chances are it's BS. That's one of the worst reporting magazines I've ever seen on cybersecurity issues. It's all alarm and clickbait and no factual information, or if it is factual information, it's so old that it's no longer relevant. Or even things like, exclusive, 42% of CEOs say AI could destroy humanity in 5 to 10 years, and that was in 2023, so, we're almost there. And if you read the article and actually got into the data, you realize they cherry-picked those CEOs to say that to get that headline. So yeah, that's just, I hope, a little bit of good news, a little bit of information.